This is the Levels Network. I'm Justin Horo, joined by the very casually kicking back Triple OG, Willie Mason OG.
Nice. This is nice.
This is nice.
We're going to switch back to it or what?
I don't know. This feels good. We just walked in. The studio was like this. There's obviously other podcasts that happen here at Diamond Center Studios. We really appreciate the support that they give us all year round. Geez, I tell you what, these koalas, I think these are koala.
This is comfy, yo.
This is koala. So not an ad too, by the way, but potentially in the future, koala. We want this to be an ad.
Big bodies suit the big koala, trust me. I'm sinking right into this. I'm good.
I feel like
it's hard for me to sit on a couch where it's like, it's comfy.
Yeah, this is like a good level for our height, right? Our height and size, we need particular
wide base.
Furniture. Yeah. And they've nailed it. So, mate, before we get into anything footy related, I want to kick it off with our BSC Dog of the Week. We had the Prime Minister's 13 over the week, but with regards to what anyone did on the footy field, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on, but it's very hard to go past my man NEDD BROCKMAN with our BSC Dog of the Week.
Yeah, joined.
The dog of the last 12 days.
That guy's ballistic, man. What is he?
He's an animal.
What an animal.
He's an animal.
Like just to push through that pain barrier, the blisters, and I've been following him on socials. I was like, holy shit. What a warrior, man. What a warrior. If he doesn't get LG of the Year or some sort of award, come on. We're kidding ourselves.
Mate, he does such a great job for homelessness that's a really important, I guess, cause for him to get behind. I don't know exactly how it all started. I've heard the story over the years and seen him on potties. I know he ran for homelessness originally on the first time. The dog mentality and what he had just achieved is – it's 1,000 miles. It's the achievement in itself, and going for the world record was commendable.
It's 10 days someone did, wasn't it?
Someone broke it in 10 days, and this is the point I'm getting to. For him to still go and complete it says a lot more to me about the person, the character. He's great. He's such a great example for anyone who is trying anything in their life at any level, right? Like, it's not attainable to do something like what Ned's done.
Train for that shit.
For everyone. But, maybe it might be like a marathon like I did. Maybe it might be getting out and going for a walk for the first time. And to see Ned push himself to that level after the world record was well and truly out of sight early. Like you could see. Yeah,
he could have stopped.
At a week, it was done. Like he wasn't going to get there. There's no way with the way that he was training. And I was watching it closely and, lucky enough to go for a run with him. Met him through the Hello Sports Boys at one of their events. Just a really good human, doing great things, raised over $2.5 million again for homelessness. So our BSC Dog of the Week combined this week to kick off our show, NEDD BROCKMAN.
Dog mentality.
Absolute
machine,
dog.
Man.
They're available in 7-Eleven too, by the way, so make sure you get in there because it felt like he was running 7 days a week. More than 7 days a week, 11 hours.
I was watching it. I was like, how long is he? I wasn't right all over like the information that he was and why he was doing it for. Well, he's just a lunatic and just goes running all the time.
Oh, he is that.
Yeah. He just fucking goes, you know what? I'm just going to keep running. Far out. What a machine.
Yeah, he's a machine. Speaking of machines, you're a machine. Gordy TALLIS is a machine. And you're going to be getting some machines to go head to head.
Yeah. It'd be interesting, that. No Limit Boys, Georgie Rose and that asked me, I reckon about a month ago if I was willing to do it. And I said, look, let me get through all the grand final business, get the season over, and then I'll read the proposal and everything like that. And once he set it out, I was like, yeah, no worries.
Sounds like a good night.
Oh, it's a great night.
So you got to keep some details on.
Yeah, a lot of details. We haven't named anyone that's fighting or anything like that. So I think Georgie's over in Orlando at the moment with Timmy Zoo. So they'll get through all that sort of stuff and then come back and then we'll really knock it out. So it'll be fun.
Yep.
Everyone's going, you're going to fight Gordy? I said, don't read it the wrong way. Me and the GT, Gordy, are not fighting. Not a chance. We're too old for that shit.
Well, Gordy wants Madge, not you anyway.
Even Madge is fucking, it's hilarious.
Would you, is it a New South Wales versus Queensland
New South Wales, Queensland
awesome.
theme. So Gordy's
but you said we can't name anyone.
No, we haven't named any
all right, let's keep that on boxers,
the low. Anything like that. So once it comes out, we'll name it on him.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. All right, I really enjoyed this one. Every now and again, we get a comment that really stands out, and it's a little bit different. And this one comes from Chinners. Hey boys, I'm new to the potty this year and have loved it. I am not your most typical listener. I'm a female who is well into her 40s, but I'm also a mum of 2 boys who both play rugby league. And I love watching games. I watch most in our family, probably more than my hubby. I only let myself listen to the podcast when I'm outside getting my steps in, so I wait patiently on Mondays and Thursdays. I then use the content to have great chats with my sons, to chat all things fitness relation and rugby league related, or to sound like an expert at work when I'm chatting to mostly males. 2 quick questions, so really appreciate that too, Chinners, by the way. Number 1, how did the weekly $160 bets end up for the year? Chinners, that stopped at about round 20, maybe round 19.
How did we go?
I was about $160 down.
Oh, God, that's all right.
Yeah. So gambling responsibly, of course. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, go to gamblinghelponline.org.au. I'm going to do a new system. So what I found was doing the potty so early in the week, doing the potty on a Thursday at the end of the week. What I'll do next year is a different sort of accountability. I'll do my best bet. And you know how we do the line, mate? So I'll give you the line. Well, it might be 12. Do you think this team can win by 13 plus, for example? So I'll do one of them, and I'll just do one try scorer. It became a bit of a ball ache at the end. Not that I was losing the money. It just became a bit tiresome at the end. Just
we need to mix it up a bit, right?
Yeah.
Mix it up a bit.
Yep. So that's what I'll do next year.
Throw me in there.
And therefore, this is the system we'll do. So I'll do one week, you do the next week, and then we can combine on it.
Yeah, good.
And then there'll be better,
I can fluke a couple.
Yeah, you can. You can.
I'm all right like that. I go with the gut.
Amazingly, the start of the year, I reckon if we'd taken the line or some of the 13 pluses that you had.
I was nailing it at the
You were
start.
absolutely nailing it. And also, what pods do you recommend in the off season? Might be too long to read out, but I already can't wait for round 1, which I'm attending in Vegas. Willie, hope to meet you there in person.
I'll see you there.
He's there. So Chinners, look out for Chinners.
All right, Chinners.
Chinners will be there. Potties in the off season. I'm a big NFL guy. I'm doing a podcast on ESPN with Grubby. But I love listening to a number of NBA and NFL podcasts. You're the same, Mace?
Yeah. I like KG's one.
Yeah, that's a funny one.
That's good. He's intense, eh?
I reckon KG's probably the closest thing to what you are, like for us in rugby league.
Yeah.
Proper OG.
I love him.
Doesn't mince his words at all.
Nah.
Tells it how it is. Has a pretty good dynamic with Paul Pierce. Like I'm not the Paul Pierce level caliber player, but I feel like the chemistry.
Ours the same, I reckon.
The chemistry makes it.
I feel that because that's what I look at. I'm like, that could be us,
Yeah.
I reckon. KG, what a warrior. Yeah. I listen to most of those guys. I don't listen to that many sports podcasts anyway.
You're not a real big X's and O's guy, are
Nah.
you? You're more of a like.
I listen to a lot of history, a lot of just, a lot of that stuff. Not much sport.
You like OGs telling their stories, right?
Yeah, I hear storytelling and stuff like that. And just a lot of history, a lot of educating sort of stuff, education on it, right?
Yep. So we're big NBA NFL guys. So we sort of float around there. Chinners, if you're new to the NRL, I highly recommend giving the NFL a crack. I really enjoy watching it play. And once you start to understand the game, maybe listen to a few podcasts similar to what we do, you might go right. All right, it's time to address the pronunciation of Turco. So,
yes, I had to slide into a couple of DMs of last week. I was like, dude, it's just, he knows it's a joke.
So, I reckon it is one of our most commented, shared, saved clips. Actually, we had a crazy week. So just before we get on to the pronunciation, I'll get to it in a bit. Off the back of we've got a really unique fan base, I feel like, at levels.
Yeah.
We've got a very strong Polynesian following. We've got a very good, I guess we get a lot of support from, I feel like, we're one of the podcasts that give the women's game a lot of support. You know, I'm really highly engaged in it. And off the back of the Koenig stuff last week,
it's pretty much showed what our demographic is.
Yeah,
right?
because those clips just went absolutely viral, just went all crazy, and and that's never why we do like the potty. We just talk shit on here every now and again. Something
people
hits.
like it. I look at it and go, oh my God, that hit, didn't it?
I will send it to Mace. Like me, Lukey and Mace are obviously in a group chat. We'll send it to each other and I'm like, fuck, this one's going crazy.
Yeah.
Man. Sometimes when you leave and you do a show, you might do there might be a clip. Like sometimes I listen to a MUNSTER and I go, this is going to just fire, and it might not.
Yeah, it might not.
And then sometimes I feel like from my side, I'll come in really prepared and come in for something. I'm just going to nail this clip, and it just doesn't hit. Yeah. And then it's just us, supporting the women's game, or the pronunciation of TOCO. So, how it all started. Grew up in Western Sydney, a lot of Polynesian influence, grew up with a lot of Islander boys. And then once I got to Manly, I ran into a guy called Georgie Tafua. Georgie well.
Just Jorge Tafua.
Jorge Tafua.
I knew it.
Yeah, Jorge Tafua. So he went to school with my younger brothers, Western Sydney. And then by the time I'd rocked up, I guess he had maybe an expectation of like how I'd be. My brothers grew up with a heavy they're part of Western Sydney. They grew up with a lot of Māoris, so all the Kiwi boys that they grew up with, they're doing the huckers all the time. They had a real strong attachment to the culture. My brothers did with the boys that they hung out with. All my mates were Aussie. I was like Western Sydney, Bogan, St. Clair. Respectfully to 275. No, what's up? All my mates were Aussie. So George used to take the piss out of me about being an Aussie, being a Aussie, being a Māori Aussie, being a plastic Kiwi, just all that sort of shit. So instead like in good fun, it was always in good fun. So a couple of the younger boys. So Georgie was a bit younger. This is the younger crew. Tony Satini. They were all still there when with Tony Satini.
Good people.
Dynamis Louis.
The brothers, man. There's a big brotherhood there.
Lingy Sell, Michael Cheekham.
Jesse there.
Jesse Settlefeo. Yeah. So I started
good crew, man.
The group chat because the boys used to take the piss out of me about being an Aussie and and being a Mozzie more so than I used to just go the opposite way. So rather than trying to pronounce it wrong, and it gets me in trouble now. So like not in trouble as in like. Like I forget. I go into that mode sometimes. So when I'm like, hey, the tacos. Yeah. Because our group chat is literally a picture of a taco. So it's funny. It's funny that people. It's funny that people heard that version of the pronunciation because this is how old the group is. We're on Viber.
Ooh, Viber.
It's a Viber group chat, and it's
2010s one. That one.
And I got a picture of the taco because Georgie Tufua and Tony Satini love those two boys. They used to take the mickey out of me all the time. So instead of buying in and Dogo, trying to get the Dogo and do the pronunciation properly, I'd rock up to training and go, what's up, tacos?
That's why I've only heard that. So I know it's a joke between the brothers and that and you. And I was just like, oh, don't take it the wrong way because a couple of doggos on there going crazy. Sorry, just relax a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's all in good fun, but sometimes you got to remember which crowd you're playing to. Like again, it's like a muscle memory thing. Like I go into it because I said it for there would have been 3 years.
Ren's one of them as well.
Well, also, Big Us goes back to that was more the Parramatta days and a guy called Daniel Panisi. So I sort of I've meshed the two together.
Anyway, it's an inside joke.
Yes. So, but explain it.
That's the inside joke.
And I'm explaining it now. Now you're getting on the outside, but one of them.
So if you ever say it again.
Yeah. It'll probably come out at some point.
Of course it's got to.
But one of my favourite teammates from Parramatta, he's not even a guy that played a lot of first grade. His name was Daniel Panisi. He played 1 or 2 games at Penrith, I think, and then he come over to us at Parramatta, and he used to really go hard on the us. So that's where we get it from. That's where me and Rennie get it from. So he'd go, "What's up, Uzo?" Like he'd roll into training all the time, and because he was a young guy. Didn't have the runs on the board, but just absolutely had no shape. And he was always a ball of energy, Panisi.
I love that.
He was so funny. And he used to do it to Hindy all the time. So
Hindy would have put him out.
Hindy's old school Aussie. You've got to earn your stripes, runs on the board before you can stop, in a way layering up. And Panisi used to walk in and goes, "What's up, Uzo?" So that's where me and Rennie get that from. And then I sort of meshed that. Hey, tacos, like that's why I had the energy of the tacos when I got to Manly. So
I knew it. I got it.
Yeah. So a lot of people were just having a laugh at my expense on Instagram, but that's a bit of a longer version of the breakdown of where it all comes from.
Now you know.
So let's get to the decos. All right, this one comes from Boo Bear. Thanks to Mason and Horo for talking up the Pacific Championship and being the first commentators to recognise the dark horse of Tonga for this tournament. There is a whole Polynesian community of rugby league fans out there waiting for the rest of the rugby league world to get as excited as they are about the potential of the Tongan and Samoan sides. These teams are a couple of injuries, available players, and a few potential players away from Australia and New Zealand, and I agree. If England toured the Pacific, they would find it very tough to get a win over these countries with near their top squads.
Hell yes.
Exciting times are coming. Great work, guys. Boo Bear, totally agree. I will say New Zealand and Australia are missing a few players as well, so I wanted to highlight that. But I guess, and I think there are more to come, some of the top tier players, with the signs of guys like Rog making the decision to go really early. And I know Rog is not in his prime anymore. He's starting to get, he's very experienced. But a guy like Dean Mariner is a really good example for me. I think where these players, and another one, Dean Mariner for Samoa and Isaiah Katoa. I think that shows where the international game's at specifically for Tonga and Samoa, whoever has been working behind the scenes. And I think you've got to give a lot of credit to the senior players for creating this culture around getting back involved with the Islands of Heritage. And
all started Taumalolo and Fafita.
Yeah.
Big moves. I said that ages ago in 2017, that the ripple effect from this move will be massive. And it is.
Yep.
7 years later, look what's happening now. And I'm trying to think what like the Katoas and Dean Mariners, like I think it's that you want to play Origin.
Yes, that's a factor.
Because they know if they went to New Zealand, that's a tier 1 country and they can't be available for Origin. So I think that is a big factor with these young kids coming through that are Aussie born, but Polynesian descent. Full Polynesian, right? Yep. So they're like, what's the pinnacle of the game that everyone puts Origin on such a fucking different atmosphere, right? So they're like, well, I can play for Tonga, which is just as good now, and Samoa, which is just a little bit below.
That's good.
But I can still play the pinnacle of the game, which is Origin.
Yeah, they get the best of both worlds, don't they?
They do. They do.
Get to play for their heritage.
Well, have a look at Olakau'atu. Have a look at a lot of guys in that Tongan side, right, who could have been Tongan and Samoan side, who could have been available for Australia.
Yeah,
you'd have to say one or two of them would be getting in there. One, two, maybe four.
I got a question from Clark Kent. This is our man Clark Kent.
So sorry, just say Fanua Blake wanted to play Origin, and just say Olakau'atu wanted to play Origin.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they could easily play. I mean, Test football. If they want to play Test football,
yeah,
they'd be slotting into that team pretty easy. I think Fanua Blake and Olakau'atu wouldn't be out of place in that Aussie side at the moment.
For sure. Like, it's not guaranteed, but they would for
best
sure be thereabouts.
Best back row in the game.
But rather than, I guess, for a lot of these Islander boys, rather than go through for them a decision or in the years, and probably in the last couple of years, you've had guys like Katoni Staggs and Hamoli.
The game's made it for them. The game's made the decision for them a lot easier.
Yeah,
because they're coming through the ranks as young. Like they're born in Australia and everything like that.
Yeah.
But their heritage is Tongan or Samoan.
Yes,
not New Zealand.
Yes,
at all. You know what I mean?
Or some.
There's a difference where Carmichael Hunt and a few guys like Jimmy Tamau and that come over when they were like 12, 13.
Kalen Ponga would be another example where he would have a strong allegiance to New Zealand.
But because Origin is at the fucking peak, everyone's looking at that going, well, if the Aussie jersey was as prestigious as the Origin jersey is now, everyone would be playing for Australia. That's what I
Here's
reckon.
a question for you. This one's from Clark Kent. And remember Clark Kent.
And the money. Everyone's getting paid the exact same money.
This question is going to come to you with regards to all that, Mace. I love Mason's passion for the Tongan team, just as a question for the big OG. If you were in your prime now in this era, who would you be playing? Would you be turning down the Kangaroos? Would you play for Mate Tonga?
Yeah, this would be hard, right? Because I was born in New Zealand. My mum's half Tongan, half Samoan, and I was fucking raised in Australia, so I'm an Australian citizen. So there's 4 countries. I got 4 passports.
So when did you move to Australia?
5 years old.
4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. And so that would be hard.
Before we move off, did you have any sort of Was there any decision at all? Because I get this a lot for people. I want to explain it to if while we're in this sort of international mode. Were there any thoughts in New Zealand at all?
100%. When after 2000, me and Tamana Tahu sat down with Gary Freeman, the Wiz, and he tried to get us with both 19-year-old kids.
Yeah, wow.
He goes, I'll put you straight in the New Zealand World Cup team as 19-year-olds.
Yeah, wow.
And we're like, we only just had 1 year of first grade.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I was tempted, but I just, my old man, that my old man passed away when I was 17, and he was Aussie as hell, right?
Yeah.
So I played for Australia because of him, and I was brought up in Australia, and I didn't know anything else. I was indoctrinated as a young kid watching kangaroo tours and Origin and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
If I played for New Zealand, then I couldn't do that.
Gotcha.
I would have and people don't understand.
And you still wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to play Origin or
I wouldn't play
Tonga.
for Australia or New Zealand. I mean, Australia or New South Wales, they'd be out of that straight away. And I only played like 12 games.
Yeah.
So I wasn't willing to rule that out, but I wasn't going to rule New Zealand out either. I just wanted to give it a good crack. I said, I'll give you a year or two, Wiz. If I'm not playing for Australia or New South Wales, then I could probably look back at it.
Okay.
That's what I said. Yeah. Yep. And I was like, because imagine if I didn't.
And the difference between, I guess, and
then I couldn't play for Tonga in the World Cup, which I wanted to.
Why? What happened there?
Because 2000 was the World Cup.
Yep.
So I could still play for Tonga, same rules, play for Tonga and still play for Australia.
Gotcha.
That's why. That was the loophole to go, okay, I can still represent Tonga and my family and my heritage, and I can still do it for my dad. I was just born in New Zealand.
Gotcha.
Mum, Samoan, Tongan, dad, Aussie.
All right, let's get
New Zealand kids.
Let's get to the Tongan versus Australian heritage. So the difference between you and a lot of the boys that are now representing Tonga is they have the they might have been born in here in Australia or grown up in Australia, but both of their parents of Tongan heritage. Your dad was Aussie, your mum was Tongan. So with the growth of the international game and the sides and how strong they are, could you have seen yourself if Willie Mason in his prime might have represented Australia to tick that box for your old man, and then also represent Mate Tonga a little bit later on? Is that something
I would have done that? I would have done that.
Yeah.
And I did it, and I did it the reverse way.
Yeah.
Tonga first, and then got into the Australian team, New South Wales team, and stayed there for like 8 or 9 years. But at that time, the international game was on its knees. Tonga, Samoa, everyone was sort of, still battling through the 2000s. There wasn't any Pacific Cups. We weren't doing anything in World Cups or anything like that because we're doing 4 nations all the time.
Yeah.
We had 4 nations for like 5 or 6 years.
So
then a World Cup. The
players that played for the Islands were basically either younger kids emerging or some proper OGs. And then guys that probably weren't going to make Australia or New Zealand. Is that,
Australia was the fucking peak, right? It was that and New South Wales. So if you were the best forward and best player in the game, you're either playing for New Zealand, you're playing for Australia. Yeah. You play for New South Wales, you're playing for Queensland. That's just how it was because there wasn't any Pacific tests. There wasn't growing the Pacific game that much. And then, because as I said, when I first started, there was only 5% of rosters that were Polynesian.
Yeah.
It's 60% now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's changed. The landscape's changed. The minority is the Aussies now in the game.
And the money is changed. The money is changed for the level, not only at club level where you might not be on as much money as the current players are on now for some of these Islander boys, like Adam Finnell-Blake. It's been reported that he's on $1 million now. Yeah. So therefore, for him to represent Tonga and his culture, which you'd be super proud of, you're not taken as significant as a hit financially. Whereas, for example, with you emerging at the Bulldogs at the time, you'd be, you could be getting a match payment of $30,000, which is 10% of your contract.
Yeah, man.
That's a significant jump.
Highest paid players back in the 2000s, what, 500,000 was huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was massive. So just say if you can rack up 6 tests during the year and some origins, you're talking 200K.
That's huge.
That's fucking massive back then. So you can sort of bring home the highest paid players, probably bring home 700, 750 maybe after the sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. So it really mattered all the reps seemed because you're probably playing for just because you wanted to play for Australia, but then you're getting paid $15,000 a test.
Yeah, you've got to consider that.
15, yeah.
You'd be crazy not to consider that.
Because if you were silly like this, if you didn't think money mattered, right? People just wouldn't be dropping out of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they prioritise Origin. That's what players do because they know how much Origin takes out of them. They know how much the game is taken out of them every fucking year. So it's you've got to rack up these Origins and get as much money as you can because they're probably hearing horror stories of players in the 2000s and 2010s that didn't do that.
Yeah.
Didn't take care of their money. And you know what I mean? I always try and talk to kids that are right at the end of their young men at the right at the end of their career. So you got to get your shit right.
Yeah,
that's where the transition into being retired and into normality, right? It's not as hard for players who got their shit together and didn't just full on fucking front load into footy and just think it was going to last forever.
Yeah, and also growing up, like I said, growing up in Western Sydney, growing up with a lot of Islanders. The way that the Islander community, especially in rugby league now and professional sports, the way they've been educated about still doing it the right way because they rely heavily on their community, very, very family orientated, and therefore, you know, you see these great stories. I remember there was a story about Stephen Crichton, you know, paying for a house for his family, which is awesome. You love to hear that. Admirable. But they're also getting a lot better advice about how to spend their money, and a lot of them now they're only going to get more and more as it goes on. They're going to get smarter because they're going to hang around the right people. They're not going to be hanging around with, you know, people. I think they should learn. You always got to learn from the people that you have to learn from your mistakes, learn from other people's mistakes. Yeah. So, you know, you learn from the 2000s and 2010s and all that sort of stuff where players were trusting their managers and trusting developers and this and that and losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't think these kids are like that anymore. There's a little bit more advice and there's so much knowledge out there and you can't be fooled by these idiots anymore. Well, this is how strong the Tongan team was too. So these are some of the names. We talked about some of the names missing from Samoa. We talked about some from New Zealand, Australia, obviously. These ones are from Tonga. This one's from Kings 411. So Tonga is missing the availability of Katoni Staggs, David Fafita, Dylan Watson-Lesniak, Mo Fotuaika, Sifa Talakai, the Fainu brothers, and Tyson Frizzell. So they don't have the reasons that are captured in there, but
there's some fucking players, man.
Man, we talked about SAR, we talked about Tonga now. We've obviously talked about New Zealand. We keep talking about priority is Origin, but man, if the best possible rosters are available, if we can find the sweet spot to continue to drive that and find out what that looks like, I think there is a really good model, at least in the Pacific, and England are always going to be strong. England don't get enough maybe credit.
They don't get enough games over there, man. They've got to play against the Frenchies and flog them by 50 every year.
Yeah, the gap's getting better. The French team is getting better with some of the development that they're doing over there. But
they need the baguette to coach.
They've set up. They've got a really good setup now with what Steve McNamara has been doing over there with Catalan Dragons and some. I've watched Catalans closely over the last couple of years. Got a couple of really good young emerging players over there.
I still never get near the top tier because they don't put enough energy and money into their resources, and younger kids only rely on the Catalans. I mean, it's all union there in soccer. That's it.
But also, you could say the same about Tonga and Samoa maybe 10 years ago, and then there's a certain change.
But look, it's France, man. They've got shitloads of things to do.
But that's my point is you don't just completely give up it and go, look, it's not going to work. Yeah. Like you got to try to figure out ways to make it work is my point. So I got this one from Andrew Webster, the coach of the New Zealand Warriors. Scope Nas.
He writes heaps of questions. He loves it.
It's
actually him.
He's an L1 from day one, Webby, and he's doing up the wires next year, brother. I think he's legit a Warriors fan too, by the way. Scope Nas played Kiwis last year off the bench. Sorry with the Capitals. Just wanted to make sure you read it. So
we got you, buddy. I said that, didn't I? I said he's off the bench or he's in the squad.
I think you did. Yeah,
I knew he was somewhere. I saw
was
that.
Unsure.
Just remember his big fucking body just throwing himself around.
I was unsure. Yeah. All right. This one comes from Joel K. Question. Why are we not giving the people what they want? Why must the only rivalry be Origin? Give us Samoa versus Tonga and let us Islanders go to war.
Fuck, I love that. I love it. As I said, I mean, the Island game is growing at its max right now. I think it's great. I get how some players and some coaches are whinging about the season's too long, there's player burnout, all that sort of shit, and don't worry about the Pacific Championships. Don't ask Tonga or Samoa that. They love this shit. It's built. If you call it Pacific Championship, I'm happy to go with three nations out there: Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, and just fucking go hard. And give if the Australians don't want to play or Kiwis, whatever, maybe play one test here at the end of the year. Yeah, and then let the fucking Tri-Nations go out there.
Well, that's
just keep building it, man. We don't have to always incorporate Australia in a fucking Pacific Championship because of the Origin factor. Yeah. All these guys play Origin and they have the big runs into the finals, all that kind of stuff. They're predominantly the people that play for Australia. Pacific is different, right? They can hold something around. We've always talked about it. They can hold something around Origin in the mid-year
where Origin, when it's a 6 week sort of thing. I think Six Nations do that overseas. They have a fucking 6 week break, and they just play a rep rounds or whatever. Get it all sorted. You can get it sorted mid-year.
The hardest thing is a lot of those Islander players would have to choose between Origin and playing for their country. Well,
make a decision.
So if I think the thing that makes the most sense, and we've talked about it a lot before, is you got to shorten up the season, play it at the end of the season. I think going back to the OG version of the Tri-Nations, where it's Australia, New Zealand, especially because New Zealand and England, they can't play in Origin, right? So they're not affected by having players that are playing for the Australian team. So if you are not allowing those two teams to play Origin, like I think one of the biggest problems with the system that we currently have is, and this is no disrespect to any of the Islander boys that are doing a great job playing for Queensland or New South Wales, but how does Victor Radley, how is he not available? Like growing up, true blue Aussie.
He was.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah, but so just because he decided to represent his heritage, which is his grandfather, and he can't represent Australia, growing up here his whole life, he would have grown up like, I believe he's an Eastern Suburbs boy, born and raised, And then you've got players of Islander heritage that might not have moved here until later on in their life. And again, I'm not pointing the finger at those guys. I'm just highlighting how silly it seems to not have Victor Radley, a guy like Victor Radley involved.
It's a tier 1 nation, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the only rules.
So I think if you're not going to allow those tier 1 nations to play Origin, then maybe you just go back to a Tri-Nations at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see a best of 3 between Samoa and Tonga at the end 100%.
Of the year. That's what I want to see, because I think they're probably scared of like letting Tonga and Samoa stand alone 20 years ago. Yeah, it's 2024. Have a look at these sides that we've just named. They're fucking household names.
Yeah.
People will go and watch these guys play. If it's a game, a series of 3, bro, it's going to get sold out. I think they really need to capitalise on the growth of the Pacific game.
Imagine if you did. So here's my little pitch.
Sorry, when could you play it? At the end of the year, or do you want to play it? Or because Origin's just fucking too much.
So here's what you do, mate. You do the Tri-Nations, the OG Tri-Nations. So they're the two teams that can't have representation out of all the other countries. So you go Australia, New Zealand, England. They play each other once and they play a final. During that same time, and you could be doing these double headers or you can do them standalone, but I think they'd sell out regardless. You do a best of 3 series, Samoa versus Tonga as well. You play at Suncorp, you play at Bank West, and you play at Mount Smart in New Zealand.
100%.
I reckon all 3
sold out.
All three of them would be sold out, and then it'll just come back to the buying of the players. Like at the end of the season, you got player burnout and all that sort of stuff. You've got to shorten.
Still have a look at the side we'll read the side out. What they've got teams, and this is 6 or 7 starters out.
Yeah,
if you had to read that.
But if that was to grow over years, where like it was
just start it.
A part of
fucking start it next year. You just got to go. Okay, let's capitalize on the growth of the Pacific game. Give them what they deserve. Fucking bang, an Origin series, Tonga, Samoa at the end of the year or whatever. I don't know when you can hold it, but god damn, it would sell out.
It would be
brutal.
It would be not at the state of origin. It would be the birth of origin.
Get it cracking.
Heritage of origin or something like that. I think
something like that could really, really take off, man.
Yeah.
And that's something like you're a 10-year-old kid, Tongan kid out in Campbelltown or Newcastle or wherever. You're like, damn. I want to play in that.
Yeah, 10 years from now.
Yeah, just think about
what would it look like.
Play the long game. Play the long game because it's only going to grow.
I agree. This one's from Mitchell Shaw. We're moving on now past the Pacific Islander stuff. A little bit a chat on the Panther stuff. Hey, boys, am I crazy for thinking Jerome LUAI has gone past Munster as the player with the big game title? Don't get me wrong, Munster's had some crazy performances in big games, but I can also remember big games where he hasn't been at his best. Every time we doubt Jerome LUAI, he goes to another level, as shown in Origin this year. Tick, agreed. I think based on the last couple of years, I would have Jerome ahead of him. Would love to hear your thoughts.
I don't think he's surpassed Money yet. I think I'm going to give Money a pass this year because he's groin injury, and he still managed to kill it by the end of the year. I thought he had a red hot crack in the grand final. He didn't have anyone else helping him. No one else took the line on apart from him. He can't do that, man. Look, he's going against Penrith defense. He's just getting the ball one off the 9 and just getting early ball and just running. Like there was no one who was trying to get on his level. right? And I don't think LUAI's on that level yet. I think Munster's.
I think he's very close.
I think LUAI's very close.
Very
trust
close.
me. And I think him going next year, you'll have to see what he does next year.
Yep.
But in the last, just say, give it the last 3 years. 3 years, Penrith's been the best team. He's been in, I'll just say 4 years, right? 4 premierships. He's been a top 3, 5'8" in the game. LUAI, right?
Yep, for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, easy. But I think money's just had him pipped for probably 3 of those years. I think. And if you don't have an injury this year, he'd probably be the same Munster. But
I think there was a quite a significant gap between Munster and any other 6 in the game for a long time.
2 years ago, bro.
Jerome has well and truly closed that gap.
Yeah.
If anything, I think I'd probably go to close. I don't think he's surpassed him. I think they're level
That's
now.
what I said last week. I said, who would you pick at 5'8" if you were picking an Aussie team now? If Munster and LUAI and Cleary were all fit.
Yeah, and we still went Munster, but it wasn't like Munster definitely.
It's only because Munster has wore the green and gold before and he's dominated. That's all.
Yeah, and you go back to, I guess, the knock on both of them, and we won't get to see it with Munster ever because they've both been in really good systems. Munster's been in Melbourne, and that's a great system. So it's very hard to know what he would be like in a system. We're about to see what Jerome's about to do at the Tigers. We're intrigued to see that. But I guess the one tick that Munster always gets is when it's out of those systems, and it went to rep footy a couple of years ago, and a lot of us deemed New South Wales to be the better team on paper.
That's what makes me think of Munster here.
Munster put himself on a pedestal during that period.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's what Jerome's chasing, but geez, he's not too far away.
No, he's not. But I think that's the separator, right? Is the origin.
Yeah.
I think LUAI played outstanding this year, but I think Munster's got the best of him most other years.
Yeah. And
it's fucking close, bud. I don't care they're both both great players.
Yeah, but it's a good question.
Right now, it's a good question.
I like the question.
I just think money because he's a fucking gun. That's it.
All right, this one comes from Carlin Isle. Sup, lads? Love the potty. Just an answer on why Bevan French won't come back to the NRL. So his mum passed away in 2021 and Wigan gave him basically the whole season off because he was injured at the time. So they let him go back to Australia to be with his family. And after that, he really appreciated the club and wanted to repay them for giving him all the time he needed to mourn the loss of his mother. So whether other clubs would have done that, Mace, in that situation and potentially maybe forced him to come back. So that's not confirmed. That's just a comment from a person on YouTube. But if that is the case,
I can understand why.
I can fully understand why Bevan French would be one of the more highly, if he was to become available, and we'll get to, we had the Wigan CEO, some comments from the Wigan CEO. We'll get to him in a bit. It was a really good interview too, by the way, but
he ruined it.
You can understand why, if this is all true, that he does have that allegiance and want to repay Wigan, because that's a really nice gesture for what Wigan did for him in a very tough.
How long is he contracted there for, and how old is he?
I think
26 or something.
I think he's got 2 more years left there contracted.
Be on some good coin as well.
You'd be on good coin.
No pressure up there. He carves up every weekend. It's a different level down in Australia. It's like it's the week in, week out. It's like what position does he play down here? Does he come here? Does he play 5'8"? Does he play fullback? You know what I mean? There's a lot of questions there.
Yeah.
If he's 5'8", he's got to defend. He's fullback. He's very light. Look at the game is all predicated on what? Completing your sets, kicking it, and just fucking flogging the fullback. If you're not running like Caleb,
he's got a 4-year deal.
Yeah,
2028.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a lot of factors going into that. Like I think he tried. He was down here for 2 years at Para.
A little bit longer than that. He was a prodigy coming through. He started at fullback. Remember, got moved to the wing. Yeah. They moved Gutho. I think that was the beginning of Gutho at fullback too. So that was BA trying to figure out the makeup of the team. He's come a long way. He's developed.
Yeah.
Seen a number of
back. He can play. I just think if you're looking at him as a fullback, right? You probably wouldn't be scouting him that high because he's so light.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what I mean? I know Pappenhausen's light, but he's strong. Strong in his hips, and he's got that Melbourne sort of style of like wrestling and knows how to find his front. He's fucking strong. Where Bevan French is giving away a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's I think the fit would matter a lot. If you could.
What sort of style of play are you doing?
Yeah. I think if you had a ball dominant 7, you could play him at 6 and you could have that X factor that we associate with guys like you know how I've called for at times for like Newcastle to give Will Price a crack. You know, if you've got a 7 that can control and run a team, and then you've got like a proper star at the back like Kalen, then you could probably tinker with a guy like Will Price or a Bevan French, maybe something like that, to just give it a crack and see what it goes like for a couple of years.
I don't know what position he'd be.
Defensively, he's improved out of sight, Mace.
Yeah.
He's done a really good job. You can tell he's matured so much. I've watched him. He won. He got the player of the match.
He kills it over there.
He got the player of the match in all 3 finals this year. So Club Challenge, what's the other competition in the middle?
Challenge Cup.
Challenge Cup.
Other things are there.
Super League final.
Yeah, good. I think his talent is crazy, right? It's crazy. Like, I'm not disrespecting him at all. I just know how coaches look at it. Like, the fullback's the most important position on the field. He's coming over here trying to be a fullback, and I just don't think it translates over here. He's not getting 12 people running down trying to kill him every game for 80 minutes. Yeah,
it'd be interesting. I think it's one of those things. Yeah, you're right. Like
you play good against some lower teams. There's not that many fucking awful teams in the NRL.
Yeah. There is a significant difference when you do play over there. I got a lot of respect for the Super League. Was over there for 4 years. I love it. But the 5 or 6 top teams compared to the bottom 6 is just a significant drop week to week. And I guess the one big tick that I've got for Bevan French is that he's not only just dominating those lower teams in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, he carves up.
But I'm just wondering why a team hasn't sort of reached out to him and trying to get him back, because I thought they were going to do that a couple of years ago.
Maybe they have.
Because there's no such thing as a fucking contract now.
Yeah.
If he's unhappy here, any rumblings or whatever, you're just trying to get him out. If you were trying to get him, a club would get him.
For all the reasons, so it wouldn't seem after what they were able to do for his family that he would be the sort of guy to go and rumblings. And you're right, he could be on really good money over there. He could be getting paid well. He might not have any ambitions to come to the NRL.
Play. People don't understand. Like, maybe you just don't want to play in the NRL.
It's such a good life over there.
Week in, week out, living in a fucking bubble here.
Yeah.
You're in the north of England. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. Well, people give a shit. People watch us from
I'm just saying, like, the actual people, they love soccer, they love all that sort of stuff.
The pressure associated with our game.
The pressure, you can walk around town and nobody cares.
I listened to the CEO.
I'm not saying nobody, of course, but I'm just saying.
No, Redlinski said that himself. He said a part that he thinks Bevan enjoys is he is a superstar in the Super League, but he can often walk down through Manchester and no one has anyone.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Because all they care about is Manchester United and City.
Yeah. City. This one's
Manchester
from
City too.
Bandwagon. This one's from H Camp. Hey boys, love the pod. With regards to the World Club Challenge, I have a proposal. Imagine this, round 1 Vegas 2026. I've got another proposal from Nathan Cleary later on as well too, by the way. You have your handful of games as usual, but it ends with the World Club Challenge. The game counts as a bye week for the champions, so there's no points lost there. The Poms get their crack at the Aussies. The NRL team can treat it as another preseason game if they want, or they can go balls to the wall and send the English back to where they come from. It's a win-win if you ask me, and would be perfect way to wrap up a killer round in Vegas.
I fucking like that.
I like the idea as well. Wigan are playing Warrington in Magic Round this year, so that's another boost for the Super League, which it well and truly needs. It needs more eyeballs. It's going to be fun to see Sammy Burgess coaching against this champion Wigan team.
Love you, Sammy.
Sammy had a great season this year, but I think that makes a lot of sense. I think there's a lot of validity in that proposal.
I like that. I think Volandis has really got to be looking at that proposal because Penrith dropped out. Do you know what I mean? So something's up, and that's a bit of player empowerment. I love seeing it, but I think they really have to tinker with the World Club Challenge. I think that's the perfect thing to put it in is Vegas.
Yeah.
But what happens when Vegas runs out? Just get back to the old?
Yeah, just go back to the OG.
The old one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something they should look
at. Run Vegas, get Super League representation. I feel like there are going to be heaps of Poms that travel to Vegas for this round with Warrington versus Wigan.
Are you going?
2 very strong. Not too sure yet. We'll see.
I'm going to start promoting my little Vegas little trip away.
Yeah, all right. We'll get into that.
I don't know the details yet. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, more details to come. This one comes from Mr. Baker. Hey, Terry Torres and Mudders Horo. On the back of the GF, I was wondering in your time who was the worst team or player to lose against? Who did you really fucking hate losing to because they let you know about it or they carried on? For me as a spectator, I hated the Storm because growing up, they would never fucking lose. And except for the last Sunday, they still don't. Seeing Cam Smith waddle around with a smirk on his face after dismantling my team really pissed me off. Cheers, boys. Do you want to have a think about yours?
Yeah, I love a think.
Mine's Cameron Smith in the Melbourne Storm.
Cam Smith?
So once I arrived to Manly, and this was just ingrained in me, by the time at Parramatta, we didn't really have a rival because we were trying to find out who we were. We're coming off the back. I guess it would be Melbourne as well because of the salary cap scandal and what happened at Paris. So I hated Melbourne. Throughout my whole career, I hated Melbourne because they were so good. Obviously learned to appreciate them after. But when I arrived at Manly, that was the year after the Battle of Brookie, or 2 years removed from the Battle of Brookie, but it was still strong and the hatred was real.
Proper, eh?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that wasn't like no one had to say anything. Like no one told me about these.
It's fucking embedded.
It was embedded. Yeah. There was a rivalry that went all the way back to the grand finals in 7 and 8. Then it went to the Battle of Brookie, and it was all through the papers all the time. None of the players ever said shit, but I could tell there's a different mentality once they got onto the field. They had this like, I would often talk about like Brett Stewart being very laid back in the sheds before games. There was a different steel about them when they played Melbourne, and I picked that up straight away. And I knew how much.
When 2015, we rolled Melbourne.
Yeah.
Like fucking quite easily.
Yeah,
it was at Brookie.
We'll come in last.
We just.
No, we did it at Melbourne.
No. We won at Brookie in the first couple of rounds.
Did you?
Fucking oath we
I
did.
didn't play that game.
Yeah, we got them twice.
Yeah, okay.
I've got a great record against Melbourne. Yeah. Mate, the Bulldogs, we beat them most of the time.
All right, so who was
Roosters,
your team?
we beat them. I think when not the Bulldogs, it was the Roosters.
Yeah.
Because it was such a big rivalry. And then when I was anywhere else, it was the Bulldogs. I didn't like.
Okay.
Yeah. It was that. When I was when I left and all that kind of shit, I just didn't want to get beaten by the Bulldogs.
Did you have any specific
rarely got
players?
beaten by the Bulldogs. Players?
Did you have any specific players in those teams at the time?
No, I think you'd sort of make shit up in your head, but then you'd be friends with them off the field.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was like me and Croc used to go at it a fair bit. You didn't want to lose to guys like Minnie and all these other guys that you were coming through and playing rep football with because you talk so much shit in camp.
Yeah, gotcha.
And you got to back it up when you get out there. I think I didn't like losing to Parramatta. Guys like Kalis and Heine and you just pick on guys in the forward like Vella and all these guys. You just you just make up. You're friends with them off the field, but on the field, no, it's not happening.
Yeah, gotcha.
So Manly.
That was a strong rivalry to those two clubs.
Para Bulldogs, Para Bulldogs goes back to the 80s, right?
Because you appreciate history, right?
Eight grand finals, and I know that. So it's embedded in you as a Bulldog to fucking hate Parramatta.
Yep.
I don't anymore, but it's just I always take the piss out of Para.
Yep.
Because they're going shit. And that's because they take the piss out of me when we're going shit. And then the Roosters, anything that's into the rivalry, right?
Yep.
And then when I was playing for Newcastle, I think there was a big rivalry between Parramatta as well because that goes back to 2001 grand final. And I think they don't like Manly because Manly's back to 97 in that grand final. So all those new sort of clubs always go back to some sort of rivalry in a grand final or something.
So you hated everyone?
Fucking mostly,
Whoever had an opposition jersey, you hated them.
I sort of did, and I was just sort of make shit up in my head, and then like after, after the game, it's fucking sweet. But on the field, it's you have to have that sort of mentality, right?
The great ones take it personal.
Yeah, you got to have the mentality every game because everyone's trying to kill me every game. I know that.
Well, speaking of great ones, I've gone back and watched the Undisputed. There's no footy over the weekend, Mace. I've gone and watched, and feel free to chip in at any time.
What'd you watch?
I watched the Undisputed, and I've got a bit of a review for you. The Panthers 3-part series.
Shit. Okay.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And I've just got some notes I've written down from it. So feel free to chip in and just ask any questions with regards to some of the stuff that I got sort of 4 key points that are taken out of it. It's such a good documentary. And this one comes from Kelly Samoff. L1 from day one. Shout out from Papua New Guinea. Another great potty OGs. I reckon fan interaction through the comment section really sets you guys apart. As fans, we really feel like we're a legit part of the Levels family.
Yeah, you are.
Appreciate this, Kelly. One question. If you were to break it down, what is Ivan Cleary's coaching philosophy that gets the best out of the players, and how, if it does, differ from other coaches like Bellamy and Robinson and Bennett? Kelly, because you asked me that specific question, you were a big reason I went and watched
You went and watched the whole thing?
I went and watched the documentary.
I
went and watched the...
you watched the doggo?
You're a part of the family, brother, and you asked me a question. I'm going to go and break it down a little bit for you. So a couple of takeaways, starting off with the Penrith Panthers, and it's with regards to what Nathan Cleary's done there. Goes back to when Gus first arrived, and then, you know, has passed on to a guy like Matty Cameron, who's been a highly important part of what they're doing at Penrith. Not one part of what Penrith have done or achieved in these last 3 years has been my mistake. The attention to detail they have from the top to the bottom, Mace, is so evident watching this documentary. The development of players is obvious. The staff, looking at the staff, because they go into all the injury chaos that they had with Jerome LUAI, Isaac Tonga. Remember how we always, I think maybe about 6 weeks ago, like, what are they doing medically that are keeping all their players? The facilities are the best. You know, I've played at 4 different clubs. The facilities that they got outweigh any facilities that I've seen. Even some of the opposing facilities that we're seeing. Obviously, the medical, the buy-in from the community is huge out there, and what they've done with the community and the Western Sydney culture, and even their social media, mate. Like the getting the families in and presenting the jerseys and the 100 games, and
they do everything right.
They do everything right, mate, from the top to the bottom. And I wrote this down at the back, like, as I was writing some notes, like, even the sheer audacity to film the back end of the season and call it the undisputed. So they had this tag where they're about 10 weeks out as this documentary starts. Like, what are we looking for now, boys? We've won 2 comps.
Going into 3.
This is going into the 3-peat before the Broncos.
4.
So they started a documentary and they start filming by, what's our theme? We're undisputed. We're the undisputed champs. So they started interviewing like legends. In my mind, what they're doing is they're not allowing themselves to fail. Because they've got this documentary going, it's almost ingraining in the players that the end product.
We have to win.
We have to win. Otherwise, this documentary could be a train wreck, right? So you even that mentality was getting me as I was getting in, because I obviously know the result now. We all know the result. It happened a year ago. But I'm like the second episode in 3 and going, they didn't allow themselves to fail. They didn't allow themselves to fail. And I found it really intriguing that the details and as something as, I guess, confident, arrogant in a way, like, fuck it, let's film a documentary. Like they did it the year before too. They did it for the back-to-back. But like, we're going for 3 in a row and then we're gonna film it and then we're gonna show people why we are the undisputed.
Now they've got 4.
And now they've got 4.
God, what are you gonna film now?
Well, I don't know if they were filming this year.
I reckon they have been. Should be on fucking Netflix.
Well, I think they did it on one of the models, one of the streaming. I can't remember which one it was originally, but now it's on YouTube. It was on Stan, was it? It was on Stan, Lukey? Oh, Lukey's saying it's on Stan. So, yeah.
Now.
And now it's on YouTube, so you can just go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube. I'm going to watch it now.
Highly recommend it.
I'm not usually into that stuff, but it intrigued me. It intrigues me what they've done out there. I'd love to watch the 4th year one.
We could be, because we have gone through, like, we get footy fatigue by the end of the season, mate.
Yeah,
we watch so much footy.
That excites me, that.
It will. Yeah. So moving on to Ivan. So I've got some points on Ivan. Love to be coached by Ivan. He's exactly how I'd imagine he would be through watching him just purely on presses. You know how much I watch Love in the post-match presses. He's detailed. He's got a clear messaging with everything that he says. He's got a calmness about him that's infectious, that leads to big moments of games and them being successful. But he has a huge advantage, and I haven't noticed this before in any other form but watching this documentary. Having the best player in the world as his son and watching how engaged Nathan is when he speaks is the opposite of nepotism. Yeah. So you know how the nepotism around...
That's awesome, but...
Oh, it's so good, mate.
Yeah.
So you know how coaches get criticised for having sometimes they're having their sons and they might not be living up to, what...
Yeah.
To have the best player in the world as your son and watch... And you'll appreciate it, mate. Watch Nath, how engaged he is when Ivan's talking. If you're a Justin Horo with a Nathan Cleary sitting there and you're watching Nath going, yeah, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. It's just another thing that that's an advantage that I don't think anyone else could have.
But it could be a disadvantage as well, right? If Nathan wasn't buying in, it's a credit to Ivan having that relationship and building that relationship with his boy.
Yep.
Fucking awesome.
True. And then if Nathan was shit, then it wouldn't work as well, obviously.
Yeah, but like just to raise him like he has and raise him right, that's great.
So I thought that was a huge advantage. In saying that, I feel like Yowie is the extension of Ivan with the club captains.
The demeanour?
The demeanour.
Don't say he's like Ivan.
He is, mate. He's so good. Yowie is fucking unreal. So Yowie is, he's a little bit more relaxed. He's got, not saying that Nathan and Ivan aren't the same, but Nathan looks so intense and he's got that, he's got that dog in him.
Yeah.
With Yowie's a little bit more relaxed. He's probably a little bit more clear with his messaging. He always speaks first. He's an extension of what Ivan has just said in the meetings before. And Nath gets up, and then Nath always finishes and he goes, "Let's fucking be dogs. Let's go and let's fucking accelerate. Let's go into it." Like it's fucking it's so good. And it's one of those things I talked about. It's like as an ex-player, you get a bit of jealousy watching that because you're like, "Fuck, I want to be in that huddle. I want to go run through." It would
be hard for those boys to leave that club, man.
Well, let's get to the brotherhood, and this is another crucial part of what they've done out there. So the brotherhood and specifically, they're all really close. But Bizza, Critter, Rome, and Spence.
Yeah.
So this is the year that Critter and Spence are moving on. We've got obviously Jerome that's moved on this year. Got me a little bit emotional because it's the part of the game different to Yowie and Cleary that they get me pumped and want me to run through a brick wall. It's a part of the game that you love and that we've still got now, mates, with the relationships that we've got with players that we played with. I'm really close with a number of players. You're really close with a number of players, life after footy. And you appreciate those relationships when you watch this part of the documentary when Bizza in particular and Romy are talking about their relationship. And then the Bizza and his partner are talking about Critter moving on and they, brought to tears and they find out about the news. And that's the reason you play the game and that's the brotherhood that we get out of the game. And again, a crucial part of what makes this team great, like the brotherhood. And you've got, like Taruva's a part of that as well. And then you got Fish and Moses Liotta and the brotherhood that those two have. But I thought the Samoan boys in particular really stood out for me. And a part about the Rome part that I guess we've addressed before, he doesn't get enough credit for what he did in that grand final.
No, he killed it.
Mate, you should watch, when you watch the documentary, the first episode when he dislocates his shoulder against Parramatta.
Oh, how he got back to the grand final?
A miracle.
Yeah, I can't believe that. That's slept on. Everyone's talking about like Johnny Sattler and all these sort of blokes and
Cooper
heroics and
Sammy Burgess gets a lot of credit.
SKD, like what about Jerome Luai?
He doesn't get enough.
Yeah.
And it's because he's the villain. He's always been the villain. But we pride ourselves on this, and like watching that, it was pissing me off. It was pissing me off that he didn't get enough credit for what he went through.
Never will. He will never get enough credit.
Not from the main point.
And he's got that sort of that mindset where he doesn't give a fuck about anyone's opinion apart from his brothers and his family, which is a great mentality to have.
Agreed.
Otherwise, you'd be out fucking depressed and bullshit.
Yeah, because he talks a lot about how his family react more to stuff that the criticism that he gets, where he understands it.
Because I can relate to all that sort of shit people are going through. I'm just like, if you have any doubts in what sort of person you are, you doubt yourself, right? And you just be like, fuck, you worried about what everyone's thinking. But if you know you're a good person and your brothers love you and your family loves you, that's all that should matter.
That's all that matters.
You shouldn't worry about all the fans that have their own opinions. Yeah, you have your own opinion. That's it. Who gives a shit? If they don't know you as a person, you know what I mean? Then don't worry about their opinion.
Yeah. No, so happy for him to how tough he was in that grand final. And you can see he put his body on the line for his team. And they're moving on to the GF. It's the first time I watched it back since obviously last year we were there. We watched it live. We took some notes.
I've watched that a couple of times.
It's one of the best grand finals of all time.
It's a fucking classic.
It's a fucking great grand final.
And hot and windy, remember?
I always knew it was a good grand final, but watching it back in 10 years' time, I think it'll be more appreciated and it'll be spoken about with the great. I think because of the significant – people just associate it with the best comeback of all time because of the
last 18 minutes of ridiculous.
The fashion and what Nathan does in that last sort of 20 minutes is just unbelievable. But when you're watching it back and they highlight a lot of the stuff that Brisbane are doing so well, and Ezra Mam's on fire and he scores that third one and they're attacking that line and Herbie Farnworth goes to tip onto Palliser, goes behind, Critter jumps on that ball.
Yeah.
and a snowball effect, and it just didn't stop. But there was a part where I think Nath comments when Yowie went off after Romy had gone off, because remember Yowie goes off for the HIA. Nath just went, fuck it, we're playing with house money. Let's just go after this. Whatever happens, happens. And just
if big Moses Leota wasn't flowing through the middle.
He credits Moses Leota for getting under the post.
No one was there.
Yeah.
No one was there. If big Moses wasn't just being a good forward and just pushing up through the middle and then just gets one on his chest.
And taking it under the post. Yeah. Nath's like, Nath had a knee problem that not a lot of people knew about until after. Yeah. So everything that he did was going to be under more scrutiny, more pressure. And he's like, the fact that Moses took it underneath the post was a huge part of the grand final and getting back into the game.
Because we see that line, we just dive straight over.
Yeah, just getting over. That's what Nath said.
Left arm.
And the last little bit, the Broncos. Fuck, they were a worthy opponent in that GF. And you would be kicking yourselves watching it now.
Still.
Not necessarily just because they lost the grand final, which the way they collapsed, but the way that this year went, and the roster that they had, because they were a worthy adversary. They were a very good team. If anything, player for player, you could argue that
it's a coin toss.
They were a stronger outfit than the Storm this year. They are. No, they are, because look at their forwards. Payne Haas-Flegler, Jordan Ricky, Capewell. Who was a lot, and Carrigan. Come on, bro. Yeah. Like that's a world-class pack. Yeah.
That could go. We said that last year when we were breaking the games. This is going to be a fucking great grand final.
And Reece Walsh, he's had some moments. He had some moments he'd like back in that game, but fuck, he was a dangerous player. So
Tony Saggs, Herbie Farnworth, Ezra Mann.
And again, you just got to go back to what I said right at the start. Nothing that Penrith Panthers did was a mistake that they achieved throughout that season. And when you look at the Broncos now, you're looking back on the decisions that they've made and what's happening to them. That's the difference. That's why Penrith have been at the top for so long. That's why Melbourne have been at the top for so long. They don't go in and out. They don't drop in and out like some of these other clubs do. And it's because it's the culture. And we always go back to culture, and we go back to standards. We go back to accountability. Penrith have got it. Melbourne have got it. And the Roosters have had it for a long time as well. But apart from that, you're going to see a fluctuation from teams.
Big difference.
Until you sort, they always talk about it from top to bottom. So that's my breakdown, and just a crazy,
I'm going to watch
a really good watch, mate.
How long does it go for?
An hour an episode, 3 episodes.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, see, I watch them one every day, like one each day.
I go back to back to back.
All right, let's get to back to Nathan Cleary, and he's got an audacious plan to take on the Super League premiers. So I don't know if you've seen this, but Nathan suggested playing the World Club Challenge at Magic Round.
I saw that.
I guess the Penrith Power Brokers reportedly informed the NRL that their players would not be taking part in the NRL preseason. So instead, Nathan's proposal is World Club Challenge at Magic Round. So there is a team that has the bye. Therefore, we got representation of all the teams at Magic Round. And we'll probably get an influx of some more English fans into Suncorp as well. I think that's got some which one do you prefer better, Magic Round or the start of the year at Vegas?
Start of the year at Vegas.
Yeah, okay.
It shouldn't be a showcase during the middle of the year, I don't reckon.
And it would be logistically very hard for the travelling.
Whoever's travelling, that's their excuse. So we travelled halfway around the world, all that kind of stuff for Magic Round. Vegas is the best one. Yeah. Neutral ground.
Yeah.
Halfway between everything, bang, bang, get it done.
All right, agreed. Let's quickly move on from that. Just thought that was interesting. Just another. Yeah. I like that Nathan's.
It's a good idea that he's thinking about that because he wants to get the game done.
Yes, that's was the point of it.
They want to still play, but they don't want to play right fucking now.
Yeah, and there's a compromise there, right? Yeah. And I love it when people don't just go, oh, no, that's shit. Don't use that idea, but then don't come up with a compromise. And Nathan's at least try to find a way.
He's just saying, oh, we're not playing. Why?
And you can tell he fully appreciates what we're going to have done. And for me, it shows that Nathan would like to get the job done at one of those World Club challenges.
As if they wouldn't. I was saying that they wouldn't care. But I mean, only because they've won 4 premierships and it doesn't look like they care that much. But they'd love to get Wigan, I reckon.
All right. Well, Wigan don't want Nathan. So let's move on to that part. So the Wigan CEO declares Nathan Cleary wouldn't crack a Super League champion side. Ridlinski had nothing but praise for Cleary, but was adamant that there was no room for improvement within the Wigan setup. I will probably be the only club owner in the world to say that Cleary wouldn't get in our team, Ridlinski told SEN. 1170 on the run home. It was the missile on Sugar too. It was a good listen. I love him as a player and I love him as a person, but at the minute I have Bevan French at 6 and a guy named Harry Smith who has been outstanding and was outstanding in the grand final. We have got him long term, and I truly believe he is the future number 7 of the club.
Come on, son. Come on, Redlinski.
Have you had much to do with Radlinski over the years?
I'm not sure.
Did you play against him?
No, I think I might have played at the back end of his career if he played in 2002, but I don't think so. I don't know what he's doing there. He's made some headlines and gotten Wigan some fucking good.
You know what?
Some good clips.
I might be in the minority here, but I love it from him.
I like it too. Of course, you got to back your team. He just won the grand final for you.
Yeah,
I understand exactly where he's coming from, but there's a limit, right? It's just like where in just say 2005, you wouldn't take Andrew Johns as your halfback.
Yep. So he would clearly, if Nathan become available,
he'd find him on the bench or something.
He would find a spot for him, maybe play in the 14. You're right. No, but jokes aside, if he become available, we'd take him in the heartbeat. But you're right. He just come off of
got to back your players.
They've won every trophy for Wigan this year.
Yeah.
Nathan Cleary is not going to be playing for Wigan regardless. So rather than
feeding the fire,
exactly,
he just fucking put it out.
He's gone and backed his team. So
I love it from Radlinski because that's exactly what you'd expect from your GM, your CEO. Like,
how good does that sound for like
the young
Harry Smith and Bevan French to be like?
The young kid's like, that Cleary ain't taking my spot.
What's up?
He would take your spot clearly if he was available, right? But
Clearly.
I love that from Cleary. I love that from Radders, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you got to back your players up. If you're that young kid there and you saw Radders, you're like, fuck you, bro. And you're only just jokingly, but it'd be inside sort of joke, right? But like, I love that from Radders. You got to back your players.
Harry Smith would be walking around Mad Monday, Wacky Wednesday, whatever it may be, just
still going.
Hey, Nate Cleary ain't taking my spot, baby. What's up?
Should be wearing a Penrith jersey around Wigan. I love it from Radders. I expect nothing different.
Yeah.
They look after their own there. That's why people love Wigan.
It was a really good interview. He spoke very complimentary. People were going to clip this.
And out of context as well.
I thought it was important to show some support for him because I appreciate the statement. And if I'm Harry, if I'm Bevan, they understand if Nathan was to become available, he could take both of their positions. He would play 7 and 6 for them. But it's the perfect thing to say.
I love that from Radders, man. I think people, you don't look into it too much, people. Like, don't try and crucify Radlinski and say he's silly and this and that. I'm like, come on. He's looking after his boys.
All right, let's get to the rankings. So I've got centres and wingers for this week, Mace. So just a little criteria for people that aren't aware. I am the CEO of the 18th franchise and I only have 3 years. Well, not only have 3 years, I am going to succeed in this role just like Radlinski and keep my job and then every other single player that's associated. So factors that are important to me in order to make my top 10. Age is huge. Past accomplishments I will consider. Injury history, projections, weaknesses and versatility. So last week I forgot to mention Suafalongo too. Someone reminded me that he would be rookie watch for me. So I did forget Suafalongo and I'm probably going to forget a couple of names here with wingers and centres. But kicking off with wingers, honourable mentions. Right on the edge.
Honourable mentions.
Right on the edge is Sunia Taruva. I suppose he ticks a lot of boxes with regards to age, what he's accomplished, all that sort of stuff. I just worry about...
Says a lot, but because your list must be all right because he's a gun.
Yeah, he's a gun. And I think there might be some where you might disagree with me and have Taruva over a couple of these players for sure. But I'm a wait and see at Tigers for Taruva. If he proves himself at the Tigers, then for sure he could be top 5 in my list and go all the way up next year. But he's just on the outside. And then the rest are just OGs. Sione Katoa, 27, very close. Daniel Tupou, Josh Adokar, Jermaine Asako, Dallin Martinez-Lesniak.
Are these honourable mentions?
Honourable mentions. Okay. Alex Johnston, they're all 27 and above. They've probably played their best, as we know. You don't get any faster as you get older, and speed is really important to me at this position. Obviously, rookie watch, Fletcher Sharp from the Knights, Jack Bostock at the Dolphins, and Dean Mariner at the Broncos all didn't make the top 10 for me. Right. Kicking off with the leading top try scorer for 2024, your man, Lofiana Khan-Pereira. He can score tries for fun. He does worry me defensively, and under the high ball, he's had his problems as well. So with regards to everything else, he's probably not versatile. And
how old is he? 23?
He's 22.
Yeah, the upside. Yeah,
the upside there.
That's what people need to understand, right? This is not about what you've done. All right, it's like
factors, but it's not the main factor.
But you're trying to build a new franchise.
Yes.
We're trying to build a new franchise, right?
Yep.
So like guys like Toops and that, you're only going to get 1 or 2 years out of it.
Yep. The OGs.
We need 5 year. We need a 5-year player.
You've got a couple of big OG names in both the centres and wingers, which we'll get to in a bit. So I've got Lofiana Khan-Pereira. Number 9 and number 8 are the same. They're both at a decent age, big bodies, return the ball well, strong, can finish strong, but They are still developing their game, in my opinion. Dom Young and Will Warbrick, 8 and 9. I've got them at 8 and 9. Will Warbrick's 26, so he's getting to that age too where he's developing at a later rate because he's new to the game, but do you have enough time? You know, like,
you got time with him.
Are you going to get your prime out of him 27, 28?
Yeah. I reckon he hit the straps the last 10 games. I thought he was top 4 winger in the game.
Okay. Yep.
That's how fucking hard. And I reckon from that leap that he's going to take from this year to next year, he'll be coming for the mantle, I reckon.
Okay. All right. I love that.
The way that he was running, just no fear.
Absolutely no fear. Dom Young, for me,
defensively,
took a step back this year. I would have had him close to around 5 last year, but he was on a really good Roosters team. I think he, just didn't quite fit that culture as much, but he gets an opportunity with so many stars moving on to really push his level back up because he was playing really good footy for not only the Newcastle Knights, he had a really good Rugby World Cup campaign in 2022 for England as well.
And I think he needs to just prioritise his defence because when you're that big and fast and strong, like you need to make the right plays.
Yeah,
for wingers and that, like he scores a lot of tries, but like he's let in a fair few.
Yeah.
So I think his whole preseason we predicated on defence and reading and his relationship with his centre. And I think his centre was always in and out. He didn't really have that much consistency. So I reckon that he needs to work on that, relationships with the centre. I'm not sure who's going to be next year.
Yeah, that's a big question.
That's a big question, you know what I mean?
No Joey Manu too. So not only do you get a new centre, but like the guy that was there that probably made you feel the most comfortable is not
and
there.
He's the best defensive centre in the game and you're still making mistakes.
Yep. So I got Warbrick at 8 and Dom Young at 9. You'd probably have Warbrick higher. Is that
Warbrick's higher than Dom Young?
Okay.
Because he fucking...
No, so Warbrick's at 8. He's above 9. But would you have Warbrick around the 4-5?
It depends on your next year. He's up there. He finished the year in my top 4.
All right. My number 7, X marks the spot. I'm high on him, Xavier Savage. I think he's going to be a freak. I think he's going to be closer to the top next year. He's 22 years old. Past accomplishments, not as much as decorated as both Will Warbrick and Dom Young, who are now playing for the Kiwis. He's played for Prime Minister's 13. Pretty good injury history, getting past that broken jaw, which is
that was unfortunate.
It's an unfortunate one. I love his versatility. He can play fullback for you as well. Projections, I think he's going to play Origin next year or be around Origin.
His upside's big.
Weaknesses, not many. He's fixed that this year. Ricky did a really good job. I think,
Is he a winger? Out and out winger? Because I know they were trying to sort of manoeuvre him into fullback.
Yeah, I think
what they're doing next year.
I think the wing is as important, and he can have a defined role as a winger moving forward with the ability to play fullback if they need him to.
I'm not sold on KO Weeks.
Bit like Geordie Rapana, right, where you play him on the wing, but if it gets to a pinch and KO Weeks doesn't project, bang, then you have the option.
They're the best wingers. They can just slot into forward. They're the ones that are worth this.
That's why I think Savage could be worth more, just like the guy above him. Pretty much the same player and the same versatility. Jacob Kiraz at 6.
Yeah, Kiraz.
I've got him. Age, love it. Past accomplishments, same thing as Savage. Probably doesn't have the reps as some other players, but projections, I think he's only going to get better. Versatility, I love. Not many weaknesses. I think he's a good defender, carries the ball well. Yeah. And shows good energy. So I've got Dom Young and Will Warbrick sort of the same. Kiraz and Savage the same. Number 5, I've got Murray Taulagi.
I like him.
He's not really a winger that completely blows you away with anything. He's not like a 10 out of 10 at probably anything in particular, but he's like a 9 out of 10 at everything.
He's 8 and 9, a lot of things.
Gun defender, good finisher.
Fast enough.
Good in yardage, fast enough. Doesn't make any errors. Like, there's not really a box where you feel like Murray Taulagi lets you down.
You're not going to kick to him and try and like expose him.
No, and you can kick to him and he'll come down with a couple. So I love Murray Taulagi.
A couple of years ago, he's top 4 winger in the game, top 5.
Yeah, yep. I think even last year.
Injuries fucked him.
I reckon he's been top 5 now for at least 3 years. Murray Taulagi, big fan of him. He's just rock solid. Number 4, Xavier Coates, 23 years old.
Playing for Australia this week.
Playing for Australia.
Tomorrow's his first test.
I think he's taken his game to another level this year, and he's only 23.
What?
He's been around for 5 years. He started when he was 18.
Oh, man. Xavier
Coates still has his best footy in front of him. He's a beast and only going to get better. And you can see the maturity in not only his game, but the way he, even the interviews. He's more comfortable. He doesn't have that. He's not that as giddy. Remember that interview that he had at Origin? So I got a Xavier Coates.
Good.
Number 3 for me, Ronaldo Mulitalo.
Yeah, I can't fault that.
I love
He's been
running.
A gun for years too.
Yeah. Ronnie's one of those guys, he'll cop the same tag where people don't give him the he's a bit of a villain. He gets in people's face. People don't like that part of him, but he's passionate and
he can play.
He can play.
Don't worry, you can do whatever you want.
He's a difference maker for the Cronulla Sharks. He comes up with big games all the time. When I'm looking at the top three and all three of these guys, they can win man of the match on the wing. Whereas the other guys, I think they constantly get 2 points in a game, 1 point in a game. But there have been a number of games where like Ronaldo Mulatalo was the best.
He's won you the game.
The next guy, number 2.
See, Ronnie just needs to fix up a few. He's always good for a mistake. Always good.
Well, no, sorry, not good for a mistake. When he makes a mistake, they're crucial.
They're crucial. That's even worse.
So he doesn't make a lot of
limited.
It's not like he makes a mistake every game, but he might compound them where he makes 2 or 3 in one game and it highlights, or it's like putting the ball down for a try or something that's really like fucking. Yeah. So that's Ronnie. That's why Ronnie is probably he's been floating around 3, 4, 5 for a long time. Number 2, reluctantly, he's going to hate it. Zach Lomax.
Yeah.
Is
he not playing on the wing this weekend?
He's playing on the wing.
He's just death righted his own fucking position, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm going there to play centre. Yeah, I think you're playing wing.
He's definitely. I reckon he's going to be playing centres at Parramatta.
I think you're a winger.
I think he's had that conversation, but I'm the one. This is my team. I'm the CEO. I'm the coach, and I'm playing Zach Lomax on the wing. But I love the versatility that he can play fullback, centre.
I'm playing him. I'm just putting him in the team somewhere. He's in the back 5.
No weaknesses because he doesn't have that flick pass anymore because he can't flick pass to a winger that he doesn't have. But everything else, accomplishments, age. He's always available. It feels like Lowy. He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. And
I'm glad he's living up to his potential.
If you get to keep him on the wing, like fuck, I reckon he is a fucking. He's not
a problem, isn't he?
He is a problem.
Yeah,
and he
got to deal with him. It's like
he not only got
strong as hell too.
He not only got man of the matches this year. He was
from the wing.
He was nearly Dally M. He was leading the competition after like 10 fucking rounds.
That's crazy.
Number 1, easy. Number 1 winger in the
Brian.
Yeah, Brian Toto.
Brian
Toto. Shout out to the Brian Toto, who's been the best winger in the game for 3, 4, 5 years now.
Since the grand final.
I don't think he doesn't have the versatility, but I don't need it.
We're talking about wingers, but now you're a winger.
You just play on the wing.
Fucking kill it. Yardage.
You just be
high ball.
One of the best wingers of all time.
Yeah.
You're number 1.
He is. I'm not sure. We're not going to go through that wingers of all time, but fuck, he's in my top 3 already.
Of all time?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be up there. Who was
I don't even know. I can't even remember. Best winger in our era?
Yeah.
Lottie Takira's pretty good.
Yeah, Lottie was
LT
mad.
was mad.
Yeah, he was a weapon.
He'd be hard he could play any era.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
He would be. I think he's nearly one of the greatest wingers of all time, Lottie. He's in my. I'll just give it. He'd be in my top 5.
Centers. This was quite difficult. Centers.
10.
10.
That's gonna be hard, bro.
Yeah. It was.
I got nothing to complain about you. Maybe Dom Young. I don't know whether he's in or out.
I knew you
just because I think he digressed this year, and I think he's got his talent. I'm not saying he's not talented. He's a freak. Just needs to fix it up defensively and his play twos and stuff like that. It's just
do you think
be more direct because he's only a young kid, man.
Do you think Will Warbrick should be higher based on what he did and the way he finished the season?
I think he'd be higher than Carraz.
Over Carraz and Savage would be my next one. Yeah,
I think he'd leapfrog them. The way that he finished, and I think the way that he's projecting to go into next year. You can't digress at Melbourne. You just keep building, because Belly be like, this is the Will Warbrick I want every game.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to get.
So you'd by the sounds of it, you'd probably have Taruva over Dom Young.
Yeah.
Yep. In the top 10.
Because defensively he's a gun, and his play twos, I don't care what he does at the Tigers or if he goes it's going to be hard because the Tigers are not Penrith. But you can't take away the effort runs from play 2. He runs direct and he takes you on.
Okay.
And defensively, he's a gun. He's really good under the high ball. Like he's a top 10 winger.
Yep.
Because he complements Toto and Edwards better than anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Because you put Dom Young into that side, does he do what Taruva does? The way that he plays?
That's a good question.
Would you put Dom Young ahead of Taruva in Penrith? I'm not.
I see what I obviously would. I
know, but like, if you've ever looked at the way that he plays, I'm just like, I like the way that you don't have to be 6'5". I think Toto's changed that.
I think Dom Young would be a problem in that Penrith team, though.
Yeah, he would be. I just like the way Tarura attacks. He's
that's fair enough.
Crazy Fijian winger, man. He's got no fear at all.
Sounds like you like my top 5, though.
I like the rest of it.
Yeah,
I just
like
put
the top 5.
I'd swap Tarura with Dom Young. And
so Dom Young,
Warbrick, Will a little bit higher. They're pretty even, those guys. They're even. 5, 6, 7. They're all pretty much.
What about your man Alofiana Camperera at 10? Do you like him higher?
I like the upside with him.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can't buy speed like that. You can't teach it. You can't coach it. He just give him the ball and he does shit. Like some of the tries that he scored this year, you can't coach.
No one else didn't.
No one's scoring him.
Maybe Toto in some of those short areas.
Some of those ones where he was like dumb, like I think it was towards the end of the year when they were getting pumped by some team and he scored. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, that's the only game you're watching.
Going for it. Yes, when he scored 3 tries. I thought he was done when he got dropped the Reggies. I was like, damn it.
All right, let's go to the centres. And I've got written up in notes here, Roosters centres are unavailable. No Joseph Manu, no Joseph Swali. They are playing Union. They've crossed the picket line. So let's go to honourable mentions. The OGs. Val Holmes and Dane Gagai out of the top 10. Val's 29, Gags at 33.
5 years ago, bro. That'll be fucking...
1 year ago, probably for both of them. Yeah. And they're in the top 10.
I'll probably nearly... I want to see you top 10.
Val definitely. But then you've got some guys that are just always been on the edge for me. Nick Meaney, Jesse Ramian, and a guy like Bronson Sherry, I think, is a year away from a top 10. I thought he had a really good first season with the Bulldogs.
Must be a good top 10.
Rookie watch, Jack Howarth and Kale Iro. Jack Howarth, 21, Kale Iro, 24, but it's only his first full season as a centre. I like what he did for the Cronulla Sharks. The 2 Cronulla Sharks centres were hard to leave out of it, but I'm going to go... Basically, the bottom 4, they're all in the same bracket with regards to age, potential, achievements. So I've got Will Penasini at 10. He's only 22 years old, Will Penasini.
Yeah, he's same age as Suoli, yeah.
Matt Timokol, 24 at 9. Isaac Tungle, 22 at 8. And Tolu Kola, 22 at 7.
Babies, man.
I think all 4 of those guys are pretty much the exact same player. Good, young, Polynesian, fast, strong outside backs. Have had good moments, haven't played consistent for long periods or long seasons or back-to-back games. Don't have any really glaring weaknesses, projected that could take the next step in a good team. I think they're a victim of their position in the modern-day game where you're very reliant on getting the ball. I think,
and you're inside, your back rowers and your 5'8" halves.
Well, this is where the Polynesian part comes into it, right? And the humility and sometimes the Polynesian boys not screaming for the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas what separates some of the other players that are more confident, all 4 of these guys, in my opinion, wait for the game to come to them. That's the weakness. All 4 of them need to take the game more on as they get older.
Get the fucking ball in your hands. Because the more, I would say that to all young Polynesian brothers and the centres and wing and whatever, the more times you touch the ball, the more good things will happen. Well, if you limit yourself to 8 touches, bro, maybe 1 will be all right. If you get 20 plus touches, like most of the great players get, you're going to do about 5 or 6 good things.
You start putting up your
stats. Play the percentages, mate.
You start putting up
Work
your stats
hard.
Defensively. Do you feel like all those? Is there anyone 100%. That separates themselves from those guys? You feel like they're all in the sort of the same bracket?
Cole is probably just because of his speed.
Speed, yeah,
and his versatility.
All right, number 6.
You don't know if he can play 5'8". I mean, he can play centre. He's a back 5'er.
Yeah, Timokol Penasini. Cola's versatility over probably the other 3 being able to play fullback and wing.
That's the reason.
Is probably a tick. This guy's as versatile as it comes. There's just the weaknesses, and it's more the concentration. Selwyn Cobbo at 6, 22 years old. Accomplishments tick. He's done it at Origin.
His versatility is probably one that kills him as well because you can't just stick him at one position because he's so good at everything.
Yeah,
that's the double-edged sword is what some of this talent. Right, you play fullback, play left centre, play left wing, right centre. That's like Latrell could probably do that as well if he was still back there. But he went, I'm a fullback.
Yeah,
that's it. Selwyn's like, fuck, they're just going to keep fucking around with you.
Well, he's still finding it.
Still one of the best left centers in the game, and when he's fit, I'm picking him at left center.
Yeah.
If you're a full concentrating, like all in,
your coach, Cobbo, you've got Selwyn Cobbo. You're going Selwyn at the start of the year.
Center.
You're playing left center for me unless something crazy happens and we have a shitload of injuries. You
lose 5 kilos, fucking get as fit as you can. We need a massive year. That's what they should be. And I think Madge will probably get the best footy out of him this year.
Yeah, I think so. There's been reports that he's been linked to Cowboys as well too, by the way.
You don't want to hear those rumours. No. I think Madge will nip those in the butt.
I think
you need that kid, man.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's going to come down. It's going to be between him and Katoni, which we'll get to in a bit because I've got Katoni.
We said that a couple of years ago, remember?
Yeah.
When about this time, it's like someone's got to go.
Yeah.
And those two at the moment, no one's in the front seat.
Nah.
Because they've had down years.
Very hard
If we're talking 2 years ago after the grand final, you're like, shit, this is going to be hard. Now you're probably both, you're probably not feeling bad going to Selwyn or feeling bad going to Katoni.
All right, so I got Katoni a couple spots above, in between them, wedged in between, and a guy that has been forgotten about just because he's been injured all year, but I didn't forget about him, Campbell Graham. I've still got Campbell Graham. I think
one of the best defensive players.
I reckon he is an underrated part or a more slept-on part of why South went so bad this year. Yeah, he's arguably one of the best defensive centres in the competition, but offensively, he was really coming on in 2023.
Playing the World Cup.
He was doing some really good things, come off the back of a World Cup campaign, so he's got the representative honours. He was going to play Origin before the sternum injury, and he's just been crippled by injury, but fully fit. I think he's got the potential to be as high as my top two if he can get back and get that sternum right.
Right side centre, probably one of the hardest positions to defend.
Yeah.
Because you're on an island, you're getting there's no real inside help. You're getting caught with the best attacking centre. The left centre is usually the best attacking centre because they're getting the right to left ball, getting mad out balls coming out inside shoulders. You got to rely on your 3-man. If you don't really have trust in him, if he's a young kid or if he's not a really good defender, you got to watch his outside shoulder, watch your inside shoulder, watch your outside shoulder. There's so many moving parts. And he shuts everything down.
Yeah.
And that's why I can put him as a top 5 centre, but probably not at the moment.
Okay. But do you like, because this is where everyone's fit, but you've got to consider the injury history as well. So
well, that's the thing that puts him down.
Okay.
Because the last 2 years with best abilities, availability, he hasn't been available for 18 months.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, that's why I probably,
great person, great clubman, great player. Hopefully he has an injury-free rest of his career.
Number 4, Katoni Staggs, 25 years old as well. Katoni ticks every box you're sort of looking for. Strong, good carries. I know he's a really good clubman. I know that side of it, so that shit matters to me when I do have a bit of an insight into what the person's like.
He's the sort of guy that you want Madge to go, you need the ball 20 times a game. And Selwyn Cobbo, I want you to touch the ball 15 to 20 times a game. Shit will happen.
Do you think it's a prove-it season for either of these two with Madge to do you think he's going to give enough time, or do you reckon these guys are going to sign as soon as November 1 hits? Because they're available November 1, both of them.
Who would you sign if you're Madge?
Katoni. Depending on the number as well. The number could factor in. So just say if...
I don't know. Fuck, it's hard, man. I see more consistency out of Selwyn Cobbo when he's fit.
Yeah.
And I see more versatility. I can see him playing a lot of positions. That's the only thing where Katoni's an out-and-out right centre, right side strike centre.
That's true.
Where I look at Selwyn, if you put Selwyn at right centre, you could probably play that as well.
Yeah, he could.
Play winger, he could play – that's where I look at Selwyn like that.
Yep.
And I always thought that Katoni was going to come to Sydney. If anyone's going to get him, it would be the Roosters or someone like that, because I'd wait for this little bit of a weird situation that they got going.
Yeah.
You lose Joey Manu.
It could be a wait and see with regards to who Brisbane prioritised, what sort of the money. I think there's
You'll find out soon.
I think there's a world in which they can't figure it. If they can't figure it out and get the number right, they could lose both.
Yeah, because guess who's waiting? I don't think Selwyn will come to Sydney. I think Katoni would.
I think Katoni would happily go to Sydney, and I think Selwyn could easily go to another team in Queensland.
Selwyn could go to North Queensland.
Yeah, I said that at the start, right at the top.
I could see Selwyn in a Cowboys jersey.
Can we check the aircon in? It's
I was going to say. I could easily see Katoni in tricolours, Roosters, and I could see Selwyn in a Cowboys jersey. Because I have a look who's moved. Val Holmes has moved.
Pettihiku moved the year before.
Pettihiku moved. Felt's moved.
Yep.
So they've got a lot of money up there, a lot of cap space. They could just go bang. I think Selwyn Cobbo
Chad Townsend was on good money too.
Yeah. Maybe Selwyn's going, I'm fucking sick of Brisbane living in this bubble. I want to go. Townsville's the best place for you. And that's what they'll sell too.
I think that'll suit him actually.
I think that would suit his where he's at life at the moment. You know, he's probably sick of the bubble whole thing in Brisbane, and you know, I want to get out of here, blah blah blah, all that sort of shit.
I'm just getting up Selwyn's details,
and then they could easily sign Katoni if Selwyn makes whoever makes the first move.
Yep,
I think because if I don't think they'll lose both.
Selwyn he's
23, isn't he?
Yeah, Cherbourg
boy. He's Tong's cousin.
Where is Cherbourg?
Sort of, I think, northwest of Brisbane.
Okay,
about 3 or 4 hours, I think. West.
Okay, all right.
On the Mish there.
Cherbourg is where Chrissy Sandow was from too, right?
Tong's from there.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I always knew Tong was, but it's his cousin, eh? Yep.
Yeah.
Tony Staggs at 4. Number 3, Bradman Best.
Yeah.
Pretty much self-explanatory. The hamstrings bother me. The hamstrings are the one thing that separates him from the other two who just always feel like they're available.
He's missed a lot of chunks of seasons, man.
He has.
And he's in the Aussie team now. He lost his spot. I think Hammer's in there at left centre, but I think he's an out-and-out left centre, man.
Yeah, he is.
You know, you just couldn't leave Turbo out. You're not picking Turbo to ride the bench.
Yep. So when you got the fullbacks, again, it goes back to the priority of the position and how we value the fullbacks, which made the fullbacks so hard. But if we're talking out-and-out centres, doesn't have the versatility, the injury history worries me, but everything else he's excellent at.
Out-and-out centres, if you're going to pick a game, I'm like
23.
I'm Bradman Best and Katoni Staggs.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at the game when I'm going, who's a fucking out-and-out right centre? Katoni, week in, week out, doesn't falter, doesn't go to the left side, doesn't go anywhere else but right side. Same as Bradman Best, left arm carry, right fend, left foot, right foot. You know, they got all those moves there. They're specialists. Bit like Tyler as well, right? Where you just know, like, he's just going to play wing and he's going to play at a high level. We can worry about other positions from other people. Because that was the deal when we were playing. You had Gaz, Coops, Tong, Tatey, Hodjo. They were all specialists in their position. It was like, so when you're picking them, you got to pick combinations. Who they're going with. Like when Baz was playing, Baz would be with Gaz or Coops. And Hodjo, Lockie, Hodjo, you know, like JT, Hodjo, Tatey.
Do you think one specific centre might have got the nod because
his relationship with the fucking 5'8"
and the other centre
and the winger?
Like, if the centre was a specialist, right, and he was your priority, then you might have your third in line who's not as good of a centre, but he plays right side, so he didn't have to play left.
Like Tong always played left centre.
Yep.
And then you'd have right side, you'd have Gaz.
Yep.
And then Coops would switch, like because Coops was a shutdown centre.
Yep.
And it was always on the right side. And then Gaz would play on the left because Gaz could play anywhere.
Fuck, that was a good combo, Gaz and Coop.
Yeah, they were there because you could pick your poison, right?
Yeah. Number 2, Herbie Farnworth, 24 years old. Pretty much ticks every box. He's versatile as well. Got a good injury history. Past accomplishments, dominated for England as well. Projections, I think he's still going to get better. Doesn't have any weaknesses that I can
none
that I've really noticed.
He's
versatile, can play left and right, played wing for the Broncos, and he's still only 24 years old.
Fuck. Is he
24?
Yeah, I think he's really shown he can leave Brisbane and still be the man. That's where you see that's a really good player because he come through that system there and he wasn't never the man until probably 2023, the back end, and everyone's like, fuck, who's this Herbie Farnworth kid?
In 2022, I highlighted during a tough season that he was one of their better players, and then he did get his flowers in 23 and almost surpassed what I even thought he was capable of.
Yeah, he's head and head with probably your number one there. I think they played against each other and you're like, they pretty much cancelled each other out.
Yep.
So they're pretty similar. They're 6'3",
good matchup,
boys, good matchup. When they go at each other, you'd be thinking when you're playing against them, you're like, oh, this is going to be a hard game.
Yeah,
this is going to suck. No, how am I going to get over the top of this guy? He's a great gun defensive player. If I give him an inch, he's going to beat me on the outside, inside. So both similar skill sets.
Number 1 is the Bulldog skipper, Stephen Crichton. Again, just speaks for himself in the moment. I wouldn't say distant second. I think Herbie's very close, but I think he's clear-cut the best centre in the game. Detail.
Because no one knew what position he was before.
Yeah, float around. They were talking about fullback.
Skill set is high, bro.
High skill set. Most clutch player in probably the last 4 or 5 years. Even what he did at Bulldogs in some big games for the Bulldogs this year, they weren't at the level what he did for Samoa in New South Wales and Penrith, obviously, but man, he come up with some big moments. He's just a joy to watch as a great rugby league lover.
A great human. All those guys that are playing are great people. I can't really pick a fault in his game.
Can you pick a fault in my list? Because Stephen Crichton, I think, stands out. We don't even need to talk. We talk so much about Stephen Crichton. Everyone knows how much respect we got.
No, I like that. Campbell Graham would be in if he was fit and ready to roll and he didn't have an injury played a couple of years.
So would you knock Campbell Graham because of the injury that he's had in the last couple of years lower?
Because we're talking about we're building a club, aren't we?
So Selwyn Cobbo above Campbell Graham you'd have?
Yeah.
Would you have Selwyn Cobbo above Tony Staggs?
There'd be like 4 and 5, I think.
Okay. Yep.
But I would have him because he's, I think he's, not Cantoni's on as an out-and-out specialist centre. He's the fucking top 3 in my head.
So you would have him over Bradman Best?
Depends that's what I said before. I'd pick them both nearly 1 and 2.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
At their best, because I'm looking at Critter. Critter's a winger, centre. He can play both sides. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to pick him in your team.
Yep.
There's sometimes, because he's so versatile, Critter, he played him off the bench sometimes. Or they played him left wing or right wing. You know, he's the sort of player you just have to have in your team. He's really solidifying himself as the best right centre in the game because he's right centre for the Dogs.
Yep. Yeah,
nothing much. That back end of the list is pretty. I'd probably have Val Holmes. How old?
29.
Age.
29.
If you're talking about 3 years, I'd have Val Holmes ahead of the maybe Timoko or something like that.
Or the Kohler, Tonga,
someone like that. Or so definitely Penasini.
Yep.
Definitely that kid. His upside's massive, but like he's really come along. But just say for 3 years, I reckon you can get 3 years out of Val.
All right. Well, let's get to where some of these players are playing. We're going to do the Kangaroos and Tonga breakdown. I've got the team news here. A new look halves pairing for Melbourne Inga with Tom Dearden and Mitch Moses making their test debuts, along with wingers. This is the first halves debutants since the great and powerful Greg Bird and Cooper Cronk.
Yeah, 2007, playing that test. We won 52-0. 52-0. You're welcome.
Who was it against?
New Zealand. Biggest defeat in fucking test history. You're welcome. Fucking asked Birdie about that game. He carved. So Cooper Cronk.
Birdie was
Israel Folau. It was a fucking stacked team.
It's funny now with the relationship that we've got with Birdie and like the way you view him because we're close now and we got a good relationship. He's a dog, man.
He's a fucking dog. He was a gun. Greg Bird was a gun.
Yeah.
Fucking, he would carve in today's game.
Lock, second row, 5'8".
He's just tough, loves contact, aggressive with the ball, mad shimmy left foot all the time.
That Nines Premier League at the start of the year, he was still bashing people. He loves contact.
Just retire, mate.
He loves it. He fucking froths it. He was a dog.
Yeah, he was
52-0.
52-0.
Fuck.
In Wellington.
I must have erased that from my memory, that one. That game.
Yeah.
Try not to remember it.
I remember fucking, I think, so it was obviously big drinking culture back then. And me and Croc and I were like senior players and stuff like that. And end of the year, there was no tour or anything like that. So we've been touring 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no tour, just one-off test in Wellington.
Okay,
which was good. And then, so this is the last hurrah for everyone. And we fucking, this is when it was under the ARL. And all these those real young kids, like I think Hoffy was there and I'm not sure, go through the team, like Gidley and a few young kids were making their test debut.
Let me find it.
Israel Folau, I think Brett Stewart was fullback. I think Snake was fullback. Yeah, so we had a really young team. And then so everyone's like, are we going to have a beer? And then I got the gold card off the chairman of the ARL and it was a 10 grand bar tab.
Yeah.
And it went for about 20 minutes. Me, Croc and I were at the bar just ordering double vodka Red Bulls with Jaeger bombs. Remember that back in the 2000s?
Yes.
That was it. And it was expensive as hell. And the bar tab was, I think it was about 15 grand by the end of it. In about 3 hours, it was done.
I'm trying to get it here. Yeah, you would have fucking hammered that.
Oh, mate, there was some messy people. Messy people. By the end of it, I'm not even going to tell what happened. But, so, I thought I could end some careers.
I'm sure people got some stories on you
no. I don't do weird shit like that.
All right, we'll have to speak about that one off camera. All right, let's get back to the halves. On the wings, we've got debutants as well, Xavier Coates and Zach Lomax, and the bench forwards making their debut, Mitch Barnett and Hudson Young.
Yeah, good
congratulations.
Huddy Young, did he come in for the dog of all dogs?
The dog of all dogs, Liam Martin had to pull out. Brian Toto had to pull out, obviously, as well. Maybe they just want to go to Critter's wedding too, so, hey, factor. Seagulls superstar Tom Trbojevic plays his first test match since 2018.
Well done. 2018. Oh, man.
Hamiso Tabuai-Fido, the other centre. Dylan Edwards, well-deserved, number one. Yowie is the captain. And Angus Crichton and Lindsay Collins are in the pack. Paddy Carrigan, I pretty much nailed the team as well. Paddy Carrigan up front. With Tonga, Panthers grand final hero Paul Alamotti has been handed his test debut.
Well done to Paul Alamotti.
With LUAI Operawati getting the first nod to play fullback. Huddersfield
Ahead of?
I had Tolu Kola at fullback. But Tolu is not in the 17. So they've got Tui Lolohea in 5'8" with Isaiah Katoa. They've got Adam Fanua-Blake. They chose Felice Kafusi to play front row with Jason Tomalolo at lock.
I like that.
Yeah. I would have had Kaloa Matangi and Jace, but I can understand having the OG in there.
Kafusi's like he's defensively, like he a lot of inside pressure there.
Yep. Yeah.
Watch your ribs. Watch your ribs, Australia.
Yeah. Mitch Moses and Tom Dearden do not show and go.
Yeah. And he's not on an edge. He's in the middle. So if you're a ball playing, if you're in the middle, like if you're like Carrigan and that want to play those block shapes, watch your ribs.
Yowie and Paddy Carrigan, they're going to have to.
Yowie, particular, watch your ribs because they're fucking long.
On the bench, they've got Keon Kaloa-Matangi, Taniela Paseka, and Sitili Tupanua.
You see Paseka? What is a fucking photo of him?
Yeah, sure.
Come on, bro. I want to see that kid turn into what he should be.
Yeah.
Fucking monster.
Damn. So Tab have got. See, the line's way too much.
Come on.
Australia are $1.78.
Oh, you disrespectful people.
Tonga are $5.
I've got the Tongan colours on. Look.
How good. What's that, Ducks? And the line is 16.5.
Come on, Tonga. I'm back in Tonga, man.
I'm having a piece of that line.
For a fucking win.
Yeah.
There's a big upset. It's coming up.
Okay, I like it.
Fucking siege mentality. And I think Australia will take a while to warm into it. They've never played together, some of these guys, man.
Yeah, you're right. The combinations, we talked about this last.
It ain't like the Aussie teams of old where they can just come in there and just join the Avengers and then just fucking towel everyone up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's not it.
Daniel Tupou, Sully, they've all played together before. Sione Katoa is a really good servant in Tonga. Aden Saliva's been around
Captain
for a minute.
too, Aden Fanua-Blake. Good on him.
Yep.
Him and Big Jace.
Him and Jace. Man, they've got a good team. Tolu Kola, 18. Siwa Wong, 19. Kurikefu Fini Fuiaki, 21. Isaiah Yongi. Bradman Best, Reece Robson, Lindsay Smith, and Ben Hunt are the ones to miss out. Oh, Matty Burton got the 14 job too.
Yeah, well done, Matty. Yeah. Matty B. Well done.
See what happens when you win the Levels Golf Day? You just continually keep on winning.
You just keep on winning, son.
Just keep on going up. Yeah. So really looking forward to this Pacific Cup Championship. I think there's a lot of stars missing, but
where do you see Tonga winning it?
I'm not sleeping on that. Just physicality through the middle.
Yeah.
You look at the no disrespect, because look at the pack that Australia have: Paddy Carrigan, Lindsay Collins, Angus Crichton, Cam Murray, and Isaiah Yeo. But they're all workers.
They don't stop.
They're all workers.
Yeah.
There's not necessarily the alpha in the sense of physicality and contact.
I don't think anyone in the Tongan side is going to be fearing anyone in that green and gold side.
And same vice versa.
Yeah.
Vice versa. But I just think the physicality of the Tongan team could really... They've got to sort of go back to like a bit of an old school mentality with the Tongan team.
Get away with a little bit in tests as well.
Yeah,
come on.
Just like Origin.
Yeah.
Get a bit grubby, get into them.
I hope the ref lets it play like that as well.
Who we got? Jared Sutton. Ashley
Jared,
Klein.
let it go. I just think Tonga, I think the 7 needs to get the keys to the Tongan team. Young Katoa. Let him cook. Let him just do let him play. Let him get through the game. Lolohea just needs to get to his kicks as well. Defensively be good. Early ball to the centres. Early ball to the back rolls. Play simple shape. Fucking high completion rate. Get to your kicks and play footy against Australia. Otherwise, they'll just bore you into submission, kick the hell out of it, and play that game that Australia do all the time. And then just rely on their strengths out wide, and then in the middle, like with Yowie and that. But I'm saying Yowie's game at Penrith doesn't translate to rep football. And I think Yowie understands that now. He knows how to play at that high level. I don't think he's going to be putting away that trick bag. The block shape, unless they get him really good ball. Most of the time, Yowie knows what to do now. Just jam it in there, jam it behind the ruck like he did in the Origin the last couple of years, right?
Well, the difference is, this year's Origin was different because he come off the bench and played like that.
Played 60 minutes, but.
And right. And he was required. But he wasn't the captain before. So now that style that everyone's critiqued all the time.
Just because you're captain doesn't mean you change the style of the game.
Well, he's definitely going to have more say in the style of way that
No way. No. You'll be playing the way that the coach wants you to play. And I'm not sure Mal plays like that with ball players because you've got Cam Murray who's a ball player as well, right? Yeah.
So you got Carrigan. They all like that block shape. They fucking put it in your kit bag for when you need to use it, right?
Yep.
Carrigan, I don't want to see any of that. You can run in good shape and all that sort of stuff. If Yowie gets on the back of that third tackle, runs that beautiful shape that he does, he can do it. But like, you're going to have Cam Murray on the right edge, Angus on the other edge. Like, he's just going to be the connect guy with that. His relationship with Dearden and who's the other fucking kid?
Mitch Moses.
Mitch Moses. That's the key.
So my pushback is we don't have two established halves in Tom Dearden and Mitch Moses at this level, and I don't think you want to play through the front door. I think you need to move this ruck around.
Oh, they move it, but I'm just saying.
So I think Isaiah Yo's style is going to suit this particular matchup.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just sometimes because in Penrith, everybody knows when Yowie gets the ball, the sort of shape that he demands all the time. In Test, doesn't usually happen like that. And in Origin, you just play off the cuff.
Because he's worked on those combinations.
Because they're combinations and everybody, when Yowie gets the ball in Penrith, boom, lead runner, guy at the back, guy on his inside, you get the perfect shape all the time. That's why he gets a lot of one-on-ones. In the Test arena, playing against Tonga, playing against New Zealand and Origin, all that sort of stuff, that shape disappears.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It disappears sometimes and it's going to become, and then Yowie knows that as well because he learnt that in these first couple of Tests and Origin series. He's like, shit, that shape's not there all the time. Dummy, bang. I'm still fit enough and still good enough to get on the third or fourth tackle and strong enough. I'm 6'4", 110 kilos. Dummy, go, one-on-ones, and then they can play off the back of that.
I'm intrigued to watch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think Yowie can put that trick bag away. Carrigan can play like that sometimes if you want, and he can be the connect out the back, and I don't know. He can do a lot of things in his go. And I think one thing he can do is toughen right up. Yowie, he's proved that he doesn't have to fucking play shape all the time. He gets good shape when he plays for Penrith. He uses it when he has to. Because he's a big, strong bugger too.
Yeah, and it's different when you're not offloading the ball to Fisher Harris and Leota as well. That's
and like Ruben Cotter, you just got to go, and you got to tire him out. But the way to tire him out, the big boys, move him a little bit, but straight through the front door.
All right,
you're not fearing, like as you said on the other side, you're not fearing anyone in the Tongan team. If you've got that green and gold jersey on,
100.
You know what I mean? You're supposed to be the best in the world.
At this level, when all these three teams, no one's fearing anyone.
No one gives a shit. You just got to play to your strengths and just keep going. And Australia will do that. They'll try and get him tired because Fanul Blake, he gets a lot of help out at the Warriors. Kafusi's there, Olakwatu's there. You got your edge, everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how if the Tongan team burns out because the way that Australia plays, front foot, front loading, high percentages, high completion rates, methodical kicks, kick chase for 80 minutes.
Just a last little bit before we wrap it up. Last year, Saul Falongo made his name for Samoa in a really good game against, was it Australia or New Zealand? It was one of the two. It's escaping me now. LUAI Hopewadi, I think he's got a really good opportunity to show everyone who might not have been watching all the Manly games.
I'm not a winger.
Legit.
I'm not a winger.
He's going against his OG, Tom Travojevic, too. So watch out for that.
I love it. It's been good.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Pack Champs. Up the Tuckers.
Yeah. Yes.